The complex fill icon, when selected, allows you to draw a shape by left mouse clicking to add points, and then right mouse clicking after the last point, and it will fill that space with a complex fill. The default setting is a standard fill type with a pattern of tatami. So we could change to motif, shape, contour, stippling, wave. There's a lot of different ones. Right now we'll just stick with standard, and we'll take a look at our pattern choices. Here's brick. And when, we have to have our complex fill selected, and then in pattern we'll select brick. And now look at the change. Some are going to work to your liking, and some may not. So you can play with these different stitches, and here we have zigzag. So with the shape tool selected, now the points are visible, and I can change the direction of that pattern, and now you can see the zigzag is going in a different pattern. When it is selected, you have the opportunity in the fill box to make all of the regular changes for size and color and underlay and push-pull. So use this to your advantage. Play with it to determine what style you like the best. Because I'll tell you, the sky is really the limit. We're going to go ahead and delete that and select the applique icon. Now there's several ways to do applique in Perfect Embroidery Pro, but we're going to do the draw as you go method, and I'm just going to draw a diamond and then right mouse click, and here's my applique. When I look over here in the sequence, you can see underneath it's applique. So let's go up to redraw and watch what it does. It's going to do a placement guide. That'll be color number 1, and then color number 2 will be a tack down, and then of course it will do the beautiful satin. Now if you don't like how it's connected at the top, I'm going to go ahead and hold down the control key and zoom in by just rotating the wheel on my mouse, and then I'll select the shape key. Now you can see that the points, the beginning of the design and the end of the design, are not overlapping. That's why I don't have a pretty finish on my applique. So I'm going to pull this up a little bit and pull the stop over top, and then when we click out of here, now I have a beautiful corner. Isn't that just gorgeous? And you can see how easy it is to change your points and get beautiful finishes. Now you have many choices. You can change the width of the satin, the stitch length, the density, how close together the designs are, the corner types, they can go square or extended, a placement line, a tack down line, and you can offset those settings to one that works best for you or your fabric. The default is 50% inset, so that you get good coverage of thread. So now let's go ahead and delete that. One more time, and we've just done applique, so now we'll go to Puffy Stitch. Now Puffy Stitch looks very similar to applique, and we're going to just draw all of our dimensions. The difference, and I think what I'll do is I'll put the puffy here, and then I'm just going to Control Copy, Control V to paste it, and the second one I will actually make that another color. So I'll make that color number 2, and I'm going to convert it by selecting it and right clicking and convert to applique. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want you to see the difference between applique and Puffy Stitch. So Puffy Stitch, our stitch length, our stitch width is 3.3 and our stitch length is 3.2. The density is really tight. It's 0.28. When we look at applique, it's not as tight. Our stitches are a little wider, but the density is further apart, 0.40. And that's because in Puffy Stitch, you want the needle penetrations to be very close together so it perforates the puffy stitch, the puffy foam, and after the stitching is complete, when you tear it off, you want it to tear clean. So that's the difference in the setting there. Now, if you do a test sample of your Puffy Stitch design, And this density setting is not close enough. You most certainly can go in and change that and make it even tighter. We could go down to 0.20, and the stitches, of course, will get closer together. You'll see your stitch count at the top of the screen increase. And that's really the main difference between Puffy Stitch and Applique. Cross stitch is easy to create. Just select the icon, draw your shape, left clicking, and then right click to finish the shape. And there you have it. It's filled with beautiful cross stitches. Each of those stitches you can change the size, the overlap, and the repeats. So now let's move on. Select that and delete. And let's move on to Tackle Twill. Tackle Twill is a open applique in a sense. So we will draw our shape just as we have been, and now you'll notice it's an open zigzag. The width is 2.0, the inset is 5, and the density is 1.6. So it's a pretty wide open zigzag. You can change those settings, of course. This type of applique is usually done on sportswear. Think of a football jersey. This is the stitch that holds down the big numbers on that applique. So let's select it, and we can add a tack down line if we want. Just click apply, and now you'll see a running stitch is added to the design, and of course it's very close to the absolute inside edge of the zigzag stitch, and that just shows you that you have to cover that placement line with your prepared applique fabric and probably stick it in place and then finish the design. Tackle Twill is very easy in Perfect Embroidery Pro.